Yo, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Leo G. We back with another edition of the Leo G Show, man. I'm glad to be back, man. Hey, it's been a minute, but we're gonna go ahead and do what we do. I am Leo G, and podcasting is what we like to do here, man. We live and up on YouTube, and I got my two boys with me, man, holding it down, man. I'm gonna kick it over to my boy over there looking like the assassin, Banks. What's going on over there on the south side, man?
How you feeling? How you feeling, Leo? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. I think it's time for some therapy today, man, to do this podcast, dude, man. A lot has been going on in the sports world, man, and you know how I like to do, man. So I think I need to get some stuff off my chest, man, do a little sports therapy today, man. You feel like being along for the ride?
Hey, let's roll. Let's roll with it, bro. I can be your ear for you, brother. And by the way, what's going on, Derek?
Derek over there to the east. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Banks? What's going on, Leo G? It's a manic Monday.
Monday. That's what we doing, man. We we doing it live on a Monday. Had a lot of stuff that happened this past weekend, and we're gonna jump into it in a minute. So, fellas, it's been a minute, man, since we've done a broadcast, man. We just kicking it, man. We're gonna talk about what we talk about here in a minute. Got some Falcons talk, got some UGA talk, college football playoffs. We might get into a little World Cup and do some hot takes about some of the other news and events that happened this past weekend, man. Keeping it real. If you didn't know, man, the Leo G Show is a sports podcast dedicated to all things Atlanta sports and sports related from a fan's perspective and point of view. We do it for the A, and we do it as fans. We ain't say we were professionals. We ain't say we were part of the media. We fans. And damn it, you're going to hear how we bring it as fans and what we do and how we talk. You know what I'm saying, fellas? That's what we do, right?
That is 100% accurate, my friend. 100% accurate.
Yes, sir, man. We have fun with this, man, and we have a love for it. And I think it's safe to say, man, that all of us are passionate about this sports thing, man. We enjoy watching it, man, and we're fans of it, and we're here for it, right? So before we get into the show, man, gonna do a little fit check, drink check, man. I know you said, Derek, it's another Monday. You know what I'm saying? We kicking it, but look, I see you got a little bit on, man. Are you drinking on something? Tell everybody fit check, drink check, what you got going on.
Man, I just got on my work attire today. This is what I went to work in today. So I just got on my Atlanta United crew neck and my Dirty Bird Mercedes-Benz inaugural hat, and I'm sipping on some cranberry juice.
I'm on mute. Yeah, that was my bad. Take if y'all want to take a drink, I was on mute. So, but I know you just didn't say cranberry juice. I know you didn't say cranberry juice.
Hey, I was checking to make sure my computer wasn't broke. Because you know I be having some
ice with it. Why'd you shake the ice with some cranberry juice, dude?
Cranberry juice.
Ice with no cranberry juice.
That boy said cranberry juice. Okay. All right. No worries, man. All right. You said you trying to make sure them everything, the kidneys and everything flesh. Because I know you had a long weekend, man, but we'll get into that in a minute. He represents for the A, man. Y'all see it. United Falcons. You already know. Banks passing over to you, man. You look like the assassin over there, man. You got the hoodie on. Let everybody know what's up.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm not doing anything special, man. Just laying low. And Derek comes say he wore that to work. I got to go to work. So my day ain't started yet. Today, man, I'm just real simple, bro. Ain't nothing special. I went with the throwback hat. Since they was in throwback this past Sunday, that's why I'm rocking today. And then I don't have cranberry juice, ocean spray. I just got Crown, and I'm gonna shake my ice to that though.
We do it. We do. I see him over there. I see you over there. I see you over there, Banks on the Crown, man. That's what's up, man. So you see what I'm doing, man. I'm representing for one of them teams out of this great state. You see the G. You see where we at. We'll get into it in just a minute, man. But I had to represent for somebody, man, and this was the team I felt like representing for, man, because they showed up and showed out this past weekend, fellas. And I'm on a little something today. I know the last couple of Mondays they were recorded, right? I wasn't on nothing, man. I was feeling some type of way, but I'm on something. Derrico, ride with me, rock with me, man. I think you done came over here and had a little bit of the a little taste, man. I got a little Willet rye today, a little Willet rye whiskey. It is pretty good. Bourbon allocation season is in full effect, man. So if y'all trying to go out here and find these bottles, happy hunting to all my bourbon aficionados out there, man. There's some stuff out there to be had. And I'm looking forward to the season, man. It's some stuff that I'm really getting. I really want to get my hands on, Derrico. I think before the show started, we were talking about it, man. And
right.
Me and you both know what's coming up, and I might have my chance to get my hands on a couple of things, man. And you and I were talking about it, man. Hey, bro, it's something that we done got into and we done fell in love with, right?
Oh yeah, I mean. Yeah. We don't fell in love with a little bourbon whiskey chase. I had that 1856 out there yesterday at the tailgate.
That's what's up.
And now I'm drinking cranberry juice.
I got you.
With a little vodka back.
I know a little splash of something in there, man. I knew you splashed something in there. Banks, you were able to come over a couple it seemed like forever now, man, but you came over a while back, man. I was able to give you a little sample, a little taste of some of the action, man. You think you're gonna be able to get into this bourbon game thing, man? Or you still what you thinking?
My brother still feel it going down my esophagus as we speak. Offered me, bro. It was pretty good. I watched. I promise you that. Wasn't being just me. I was somebody else. Had extra hairs grow on my chest and everything.
So you let you put an ice cube in it?
I've had an ice cube.
Nah, dog. Well, he ain't got an ice cube, but I'm straight no chaser, man.
Oh, okay.
Ice cube. It wasn't no.
Yeah, I just want to make sure at least
it melted as soon as it got in the glass, sir. I mean.
It is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but I gave him a little bit of the blandness. I gave him a little bit of the horse, Derrico, man. So, he enjoyed it, man. We do what we do, man. So let's go ahead and jump into this thing, man, and start this podcast off, man. Talk a little bit about the Atlanta Falcons. We're gonna go ahead and start it off, talk about Atlanta Falcons. A lot of stuff going on today after what happened on yesterday. So before we get into this, fellas, man, I want to have just like, a conversation like we normally have, man. So yesterday, we had a legacy team come into the Mercedes-Benz. If you didn't know, so just to preface this a little bit, Banks did not come to the game yesterday. He was unavailable. He had some other stuff going on, so he didn't come. But he's been doing this Falcons things for a long time. So he already knows how this goes, and he can pretty much, piggyback on this conversation and he could pick up and run with it. But Derrico and I were both there. We played the Steelers, which I like to call them a legacy team. Fellas, I think that's maybe the term that we like to use when we talk about these legacy teams that are successful. They have a lot of trophies in the case. They have large fan bases, right? And when they come to town, they bring a lot of people. And I think that it's overwhelming. This Sunday was by far, in my opinion, since I've been going to Falcons games, one of the biggest contingencies of away fans I've ever seen. We've seen Steelers fans coming to Atlanta in droves, but Derrico, I'm gonna come to you first, and and Banks, I have you talk about a little bit. This was crazy. There were a lot of Steelers fans in the building, which we knew was gonna happen, but this, in my opinion, was probably the largest contingency of away fans I've ever seen in my 40 plus years of going to, and I say 40 plus years, I'm not that old, but I've been going to Falcons games since I've been in Pampers. So this is the largest contingency of away fans that I've seen in a long time. Derek, would you agree?
I will. I mean, yeah. I mean, like I say, I say 30% travel, 70% local. That means they can be from Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Florida, South Carolina. That's local to me for them. They didn't fly in from Pennsylvania. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, they did what they supposed to do when the opportunity that they only get to see their team once a year because they don't live in Pennsylvania.
Once a year.
Yeah, once a year.
Once every 4 to 6 years when they come down here.
No. I'm just saying once a year they will find a way to watch their team. But coming to Atlanta, yeah, that's all I'm saying. So, but it don't hurt that you playing in Atlanta.
Exactly. And, before I get over to you, Banks, exactly. This, I guess, what I'm saying? I mean, I want to give a shout out to all the Pittsburgh fans that came down from Western Pennsylvania, right? I give you, hats off to you guys for coming down and representing Charlotte for your team. They call it Steeler Nation for a reason. You got Steeler fans all over the country. You know what I'm saying? I mean, 6 Super Bowls. I mean, you go back to the steel curtain days of the 70s. So you got a lot of old heads. I saw a lot of old heads in there. Old heads in there yesterday. Derek, you're not one. You're not one of the old heads.
No, bro. But you said something because I was telling you came up from Columbus, Georgia. That's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I said, I'm looking at y'all fans and I'm looking at our fans. There's a big difference in what they look like.
Absolutely. Because let me tell you something. I have witnessed the Steelers win Super Bowls, you know what I'm saying, as a, teenager. I don't want to say as an adult. I can't even remember the last time. Somebody spot date the last time the Steelers won a Super Bowl, but they were very successful in the 70s. So a large part of their fan base came out of the 70s when that steel curtain, Chuck Noll, Ed Too Tall Jones, Franco Harris, Terry Bradshaw era. So it's funny, like you just said, Derek, there are some seasoned Steelers fans out there. If you're a millennial, you might remember the last time the Steelers won a Super Bowl. I think Derek spot dating that now, but haven't been a lot of recent success. I mean, we've always talked about they've been a blue collar team. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the teams in the NFL that has a blue collar team. They've only had maybe, I think, 6-7 coaches in the history of that team. Mike Tomlin's been up there like 15, 16 years. Chuck Noll was there for a while and Bill Cowher was there for a while. So they're a legacy team. They're a very successful team. Banks, I'm gonna hand it over to you. I know you weren't in the building. I know you've seen a lot of takeovers, and I'm not ashamed to say it because I mean we are where we are. I mean it's Atlanta shit. A lot of people want to come here to have a weekend and have fun. You know what I'm saying? To see their team. It's not out of the norm to see Bills Mafia or the Cowboys fans or the Raiders fans. The larger contingency of fans come here, but like I said, based upon what me and Derek saw yesterday, this is probably one of the biggest takeovers. Banks, what do you have to say about that, man? And how do you feel about other teams' fans coming into the city, man, like they did?
Basically said 30% was probably actually traveled from Pennsylvania. And I'm gonna go a step further, Derek limits, not just South Carolina and Tennessee and they're in this city. And unfortunately, you got Dallas fans here, you got Giants fans here, you got Jets fans here, you got Dolphins fans here. NFL team in the NFL, and you will of their fans here. Everyone wants to come to Atlanta, and like I said, this is another discussion. Everyone wants to come here. They don't want to leave. Something good here that you like. So obviously, this city, but you won't go home. So we can't help that. We are a melting pot of everybody, of everything. fan there is. Like every sport fan in the history of sports, and we cannot escape that. And you can go not just Falcons, you can almost say United, but I mean, I haven't seen a takeover in United, and I don't think I ever will. On the flip side of that, though, when you talk about even the Braves, for that, you will still see Red Sox fans, you will still see Cubs fans, you will still see Yankee fans, you will still see
Dodgers fans
in this city. They're not traveling from New York. They're not traveling from LA. They're here. They pay taxes like this city. Now, unfortunately, you can't tell, if that's who they grew up watching, be it. I mean, we don't have people in this city of Atlanta that lives in this city of Atlanta that go to other cities to live. Why is that? Because we love our home. I mean, maybe we don't want to go to freaking Kansas City, Missouri, or Dallas, Texas, just to
nobody's moving to Western Pennsylvania or Cleveland or Buffalo. We're not leaving Atlanta for that. No.
Right. Hey, did you mention the Hawks? And how?
I mean, Hawks too. I mean, you get Laker fans here. You got, your Knicks take over. I've seen the Bulls take over.
Philly.
Philly, our local people. I mean, I've had my own very eyes, not this year, but a couple of years ago. I believe it was Dallas that came in and we beat the Cowboys that year. It was a Dallas fan, who, by the way, is a season ticket holder for the Atlanta fans when the Dallas Cowboy fans are not playing.
Banks.
So hold on, Leo. Hold on. I said, why are you bothering me any other week? But now you're Dallas is my first team. I rep the Falcons, but that's my first team. Okay, say less, bro. Say less. I mean, have two teams. I don't know how it feels to have two teams. I'd be a Seahawks fan. Hell, I don't know. I probably wouldn't. I don't know. If that's what you're doing, have at it. Have at it.
So look, Banks, I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm gonna speak on it a little bit, man. I don't want to get too far off in it before we go. So this is truth. I don't know. So anybody that's watching our podcast, and Derico, and we disagree on a lot of stuff, but I think we will agree on this, and we know this to be factual because we go to these games. We've been season ticket holders for quite some time. The fact of the matter is, people, there are a lot of people that are Atlanta Falcons season ticket holders. They have been Atlanta Falcons season ticket holders for years, but when certain teams come into this city, they change alliances. Banks is what Banks said is 100% true. We've all seen it with our own eyes. I guarantee you, yesterday at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, there are 10, 20 plus year season ticket holders that will cheer for the Falcons 99.9% of the time. But when the Steelers come to town, when the Cowboys come to town, when the 49ers come to town, whoever, then like Banks said, that's my team. That's the team that I've always, that's my second team, whatever the case may be. And like Banks said, it must be great to have a second option, but that's what they do. Like that is real. So I want to get that narrative out there to people that don't understand that. They think that, oh, okay, well, all these people just, no. There are people that are Falcons season ticket holders that own Falcons gear, that have Falcons license plates, that have Falcons flags. But when the Steelers come to town because they have some made-for-TV Hallmark movie about how they became a Steelers fan, will switch allegiances and put on Steelers gear and wave terrible towels in the stadium. So that happens. And I don't know if there's another city in this country where that happens. It happens here, though, in Atlanta. I can tell you that. I know that for a fact. And it's hilarious. And like we all said, we can't make anybody cheer for whoever, but I just want to know what makes that dynamic. Derek, I'm gonna come to you. What do you think in your mind? And I know you can't read everybody's mind. I know you can't, I just want you to maybe give me your take on where that dynamic comes into play, where people are they want to be Falcons fans. They want to say they rep for the A, but then at the same time, they're like, okay, well, I've always loved the Cowboys. I've always loved the Steelers. So they can't, they're still, back and forth on. They got a wife and then a chick on the side.
Stupid. I mean, it's twofold. I mean, you can have people that are literally from Atlanta, but rep other teams because they just don't like the Falcons. They don't like being associated with the Falcons because they're losers. So they'll tag along with another team that's won something. Most of those fans will be the same fans that'll say they Yankee fans, that'll say they Laker fans, that'll say they Miami Hurricane fans. You know what I'm saying? They just want to be associated with something they can call winners, so they can always toss up, at least my team won this. At least my team won that. I mean, that's pretty much how it goes when you're talking about local people that don't root for the Falcons. Or they may grew up in a blended household, like you were saying, where the father may have been a Steeler fan and he adapted to the Steeler way. Or the mama may have been a Steeler fan and adapted to the Steeler way. That could happen. And then you got the folks that have migrated here. Y'all say that, we grew here, y'all flew here. So the ones that flew in here and moved here, they probably bringing their allegiance from another city. You know what I'm saying? And Banks, to go on your point, if I moved to another city, I probably would go to another city's football stadium and be a football, because I'm a football fan, first of all. So I probably would go to that game and support that team that I'm living at, but I'm always going to be Atlanta Falcons. It's never going to be, hey, I'm going to be like this dude I know. He's an Atlanta Falcons season ticket holder, but he come in there every game with his Steelers stuff on. I respect that more than somebody flip-flopping you in your Falcon gear one day, and then when your team come here that once in a blue moon, then you got to dust off your apparel to put it on to flex your muscles when you come in there like you still ain't playing your team.
Yeah, and to say, oh, we got so Banks, you're gonna love this. I'm gonna come to you, Banks, but Banks, and I'm gonna swing it over to you, and we got to get into the meat of the actual game here in just a second to talk about that. But I'm gonna swing it over to you, Banks, because you didn't come to the game yesterday, but you already know where I'm going with this. So first of all, if you're not from Atlanta, we do have a small mass transit system, if you want to call it that. We do have a small train system. If I'm not tailgating with the Falconers up on the corner of Northside Drive in Nelson, sometimes I ride the train. I had some other stuff going on yesterday, so I had to ride the train, right? So I get on the train, and Banks, you and I both know where you and I ride the train is not a place where people from out of town usually ride the train, okay? If you from out of town, you're not gonna ride the train on the west side over. I'm gonna call it Hightower. It's Hamilton E. Holmes now, but Banks, when you and I were growing up, it was called Hightower train station. So if you from the city, you ride. If you going over to Hightower to ride the train, like a little bit of something about the city. So I pull up yesterday. We get out, and it's a boatload of Steelers fans. They getting out their car and they going up into the stadium. I'm like, man, they're going up into the train station. I'm like, man, these people know they from here or they know a lot about this city. Because if you're from out of town, you ain't gonna be catching the train at Hamilton. It's the last stop on I-20 West, like right before 285 West in the city. Banks, am I right?
Listen, you hit it right on the head. Or Pittsburgh flying in for the first time, even if you've been to Atlanta before and you've been to Atlanta a couple of times as a visitor, you're not going to go over to the west side unless you have a relative there. You're not going alone. You're going to go with that person. Usually how it works when you travel, you kind of stay within the city. I guarantee probably some people that came from Pittsburgh, they did not migrate north, south, east, or west. They stayed within of downtown Atlanta where all the happenings are at. Those fans stayed where they feel Atlanta. I don't know what the bad areas are. I'm not going there. That's usually some things when they go to a new city. Correct? Okay. So anybody that's getting tower in their car that parked in the parking lot or in, I guarantee they within the proximity, they live about 10 miles away. I think
Hey,
that's kind of fair.
absolutely.
That's kind of fair, right? Okay.
Kind of fair to say. And they know the city very well.
They know the city very well. They're comfortable. They at HE mind riding it. They'll probably ride it alone if they have to. Me, I'm comfortable. Leo, you're comfortable. I don't want to ride it, but I will if I have to. It is what it is. You know, people that lives in this city have allegiance of different teams. With your analogy, what you said about having a side chick, listen, when that side chick start putting out, that's the new wife. That's the new wife. When she start doing what you want to do to your liking, and I don't want to get too graphic on this show because it's a family show, but if you're doing what you're supposed to do, then that's your new wife, or else you wouldn't have two. So when that team do what they supposed to do, i.e. trophies, that's your new team, and that's who you're going to roll with primarily versus your side team, you know, who you want to pull for because you feel bad because I live here and I do want to pull for them, but I know this is a can't miss because they got the pedigree. You know, you can't talk mess to me about this team, but I kind of want to root for them. Yeah, I see what this is all about, and I've seen it for years.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, you know, and chime in, man, comment, man, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Let us know, man, if there's a dynamic like that in any other NFL city. Because I'm curious to know, fellas. I'm curious to know if Atlanta is the only city where that dynamic applies. I do know for a fact, and then we'll start talking a little bit about the game. I do know for a fact, New York, that kind of applies. Because I have a couple of people that are from New York and they're like, you know, Cowboys fans and they're native New Yorkers or whatever the case may be. But that's a whole nother dynamic with that whole NFC East. And that's a whole topic of conversation for another time. But listen, fellas, so we can move right along with the show. Want to talk about the game yesterday. It wasn't a lot really to talk about on the field. This was a 19-16 game, right? 19-16, you would think it was a tough game. In my opinion, for me, and this is just my opinion, take it for what it's worth, I was kind of embarrassed with the showing. I'm going to come to you, Derrico, first, because I know you sent me a couple of texts. I was in my feelings a little bit, and you know kind of why I was in my feelings yesterday, but I know you did send me some texts, and you were kind of telling me about some of the dynamics that you didn't like. 19-16, we lose this game. I know you said that you were kind of looking at the defense and seeing them kind of get exposed. But here's the thing that I want to kick it over to you, man. In the NFL, you hold a team to 19 points. We had a team to 19 points yesterday. 19. My question to you is, Derrico, what more do you want to ask of a defense in the NFL? 19 points, man. Tell me what, and let me preface this before I kick it to you, and I want you to think about it. This is a talentless team. Let's be real. This is a team that doesn't have well, no disrespect to Grady Jarrett, no disrespect to AJ Terrell, but we don't really have any recognizable household names on this defense. You hold another NFL team to 19 points. Derrico, what more do you want from this defense, man?
So you gonna make excuses for the defense? And there's the only one that don't have no talent.
I'm not making any. We'll talk.
I'm just asking. This is what I want to see. This is what I want to see. What I don't want to see is that team drive down the field with a rookie quarterback 3 times on the first opening drives. If it was a better team, it would have been 7 points instead of 3. I'm just gonna leave it right there.
And let me cut in about that, and I want to kind of play. Stirring the pot a little bit. Leo,
yeah.
Side with Derrico with that defense, and for you say holding the other team with a better offense. Quarterback. This is a rookie now. He's a rookie. You really think they would have held him to 19 points with that defense?
So first of all,
hold on.
So first,
We see the same thing out of this defense. Week out. It's not one week is different than the other. I mean, we all see it for bump out off the receiver for 10 yards. Every team has done that.
I feel attacked.
No, I'm not trying to attack you, Leo. I'm just trying to see you.
I do. I feel attacked. I feel attacked.
But don't attack Leo, because you take.
Well, here.
Don't do.
I'm not taking it. I'm not taking it personal. I'm gonna let you finish, Banks. I never excused the defense. I asked Derico a question. I asked him what more did he want from the defense. They held them to 19 points. I didn't. So if you want to say I excuse the defense, then that's on you. But what I'm saying is, I asked what more did you want from the defense, and you explaining yourself, Banks. But I'm not excusing them. But go ahead, Banks. Finish.
Go ahead.
No, I gave you what I wanted more of. I want more stops. I want more 3 and outs. I don't want the team driving down the field consistently every freaking game. Just simple as that.
And just to piggyback on that, and the thing is that 19 points, credit that for me, just for me, and I'm not saying Derek Cole's point. My point of view, it seemed like it's more of what they wasn't doing. Okay, so I can't give the defense that credit of holding them. Okay, if one season, it would have been worse than that. Just my opinion. Looking of what this every single week, I'm talking about when we played the Bears, when we played the Washington Commanders with Heineke. With our defense, okay, these are not how that's supposed to be setting the world on fire. Let's just every quarterback we have seen this season, no issue of getting the ball to their converting on 3rd and long, and we get by and we pray that let's just hope they just drop the ball. Just drop the ball. They advised pick, and we want to credit the defense the little things they do, but for that I just can't. They're flawed, okay, and we all know it. You know it. They need help, and I can't keep getting them credit where it's more on Pittsburgh than us.
Listen. Make no mistake about this, fellas, and I think both of you all can agree that I went on the record as saying that I want a dominant defense. Let me tell you something, man. My philosophy, my insignificant fandom philosophy is to have a dominant defense. I think you both know that. I think Banks, you know that. Derico, you know that. I'm not excusing what this defense is, and we'll get into what the offense did in just a minute. But in this day and age, and the point I want to drive is in the NFL. There are markers. There are certain things that you want to see, and I'm speaking as a fan. And it's not I guess, I don't know. How can I put this? It's not something to Banks, to coin your term, to hang your hat on, to hold a team to 19 points. Because yes, if you did have a better offense, it probably would have been a lot worse. But if you want to measure and look at markers in this day and age in the NFL, you hold a team to 19 points as a defense. I would think that most teams and most defensive coordinators would say, hey, you know what? We kind of did our job. As fans, yes. Me personally, yes. I still think with this team, that's kind of inexcusable because we know where we are and we know what we need to do. And like you said, Derico, I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. 3rd down and 8, 3rd down and 12, 3rd down and 18, and these teams convert. And that's inexcusable. But you know what I'm saying? You go into a game, in an NFL game, and you hold a team to 19 points with a rookie quarterback, you expect more from the other side of the ball, which we'll get into here in just a minute. But I want the record to show that Leo G wants a dominating defense, and I feel like that is the cornerstone of a successful franchise. We have never had that. As long as I've been able to understand the game of football, the Atlanta Falcons, I don't know if you guys agree with me, have never seen it. In 1980, arguably was probably the best defense this team has ever had, the Grits Blitz. And all I can do is read about it and go back on YouTube and look at some of those clips. But yes, I want a dominant defense, starting with a hellacious front and, you know, a secondary to follow. We're still trying to build to get there. Will we get there one day? I don't know, but that's what I want to see. And I was just, you know, saying that because, like I said, if you want to put a marker in the NFL as defense coordinator and say, hey, we allowed 19 points, I think that's kind of commendable if that's what you're doing as a coach. So now let's get into offensively and kind of break this down. And Banks, I'm gonna bring it over to you. We know the defense gave up 19 points. We lost 19-16. So let's talk about this here with the offense and what we've seen thus far, right? We won 5 games with Marcus Mariota as our quarterback, all right? Yesterday, this game, man, there was nothing I can say, in my opinion, that I felt like was good, all right? We did what we could, and we had opportunities, and we squandered a lot of them. Some of them were due to penalties, and I get Derek Cole to kind of expand on that because I know you weren't there, Banks. But offensively, there were a lot of opportunities that we miscued on. Banks, tell me, what did you see watching the game offensively that we weren't able to do that we should be able to do at this point in the season?
At this point of the season, where we're at week 14 or something, I don't know. Not Marcus Mariota. He hasn't improved. He hasn't gotten worse either, but he hasn't improved back as he was week 1. So as the offensive line, we know what they are. They're not going to pass protect. I mean, I think we all know that. It's kind of a beating a dead horse at this point. We know they're kind of below average at this point, and that's where the games are won, is at the line of scrimmage, and we are battles. The running game is okay. The whole, after 13 games, they have done pretty well. Passing game sucks. I hate it. Every time I see Marcus go back to pass, I know he's gonna miss, or he's going to hit somebody for 5 yards and hope the play. He doesn't. It's the kind of thing now where you're going for teams like stack the box. It's not going to beat you, and unfortunately, this is where we at. We're 5-8. Going forward, we know exactly what we need to do, and I think we need to straight up first. Do not draft a receiver. Do not draft a tight end. Do not draft a running back. You draft a defensive lineman if they're available. I don't want to excuse after that, because if you go past the line of scrimmage, you don't want to.
Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Banks, that needs to be addressed. And we have pretty much, we've done everything we can in our power as a team to cover up our deficiencies. That's the best way I could put this. You know what I'm saying? These guys can run block. Make no mistake about it. I think this is probably one of the best run blocking lines we have. Now, there were some scenarios yesterday where a couple of linemen got their lunch taken, and that's par for the course. You know, every Sunday or Monday or Thursday is going to be different, right? I mean, guys can't, you know, unless you're a perennial Hall of Famer, you can't just hold up. You know what I'm saying? But you're going to have a bad game. Everybody does. I'm going to bring it over to you, Derek Cole, here in just a second. There were a couple of things that I saw, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say. We had some penalties at home that we shouldn't have had. And we prided ourselves as being one of the most least penalized teams in the NFL. But yesterday we had a lot of penalties. We had a touchdown call back because of a couple of penalties. And we also had some penalties that you should never see at home. We had some false starts by your favorite lineman, Derek Cole, Jake Matthews. We had some holding penalties, man. Listen, Derek Cole, I'm gonna bring this over to you, man. Offensively, where do we need to be, and how impactful was the undisciplined play yesterday of the offense in us, losing this game for real? Because we had an opportunity to take the lead and be up and let a rookie quarterback try to get his team back in it. But yet at home, we took some false start penalties, and we had to settle for a field goal because, of the factors that were against us, man. I'm going to let you explain that.
I mean, I can't explain it, but I can try to talk about it, tiptoe around it. I mean, in the end of the day, these are human beings. How would you feel if you were out there playing Leo and you hear 30,000 Pittsburgh Steelers fans in your home? I'm just being real about that. Like, how would you feel? They probably would feel almost like you feel as a fan. Probably worse, because they are the professionals that show up and put their bodies through XYZ, and then they say our fans don't even support us, don't care about us. I'm glad you brought up my boy name, because for some reason he keep getting a pass, but I'm not letting him off the hook. At this point in his career, Jake Matthews should be better than that. And it seems like it's getting worse. I'm talking about this ain't just one-offs. I mean, that crucial situations from that game, like it just started to unfold where the mental part of his game is just slipped. I mean, and I'm not going to talk about that center because I don't know what you call that. That's just somebody that's hiking the ball.
He can't even do that.
I mean, this dude is just getting straight trucked every game. I mean, and I don't know who over there on the right side besides, well, I guess, McGrady, he's been all right. I mean, I ain't heard his name. McGarry, and Lindstrom.
And well, for what it's worth, man, Lindstrom has been taking some lumps this year. But
no, he's been consistently the highest rated lineman in the NFL.
He has.
So I'm not. He's about the only. No, he ain't. I'll say that McGarry, him on the right side of the line, they've been solid. But from that center to the left, trash. You talk about the passing game. I mean, we already knew, and I keep trying to tell people this, and I try to explain. Y'all be wondering why I don't get in my feelings too much about it. Because at the beginning of the year, I said this year was just total entertainment to me. I'm not taking this season seriously. I think we got caught up in the fact that we won probably 3 or 4 games that we probably didn't think that we were going to win. And it just switched. Like the light just went off. And people just started saying, oh, well, we're better than. No. We're not better than what we thought. We just got pretty good coaching. I'll say we got pretty good coaching in most situations. Now, I don't like Arthur Smith's passing game scheme at all.
If you want to call it that, I don't even know if it is a passing game scheme. I mean, it's, we do what we can, and I think he doesn't have any confidence in what we have going on. Right. And to kind of move along in the show and to talk about this as we move forward here, man. Listen, so the first thing is first, yes or no question, Banks. Can we go ahead and put the playoff talks to rest? Yes or no?
I mean, absolutely. This was
okay.
Why are we still talking
Derek
about
Cole, can we go? Derek Cole, can we put the playoff talks to rest? Yes or no?
Jim Mora, playoffs.
Playoffs. Absolutely. Yeah, man.
That was never in my conversation. I don't care. I don't care how bad the NFC South is. Never.
That's just it.
Yeah.
We only talked about playoffs because we thought Tampa's.
Well, no, we talked. No, we talked about
of a play.
Yeah. We talked about. Yeah, the only reason we talked about playoffs is because the division was so
trash.
Bad. That's the only reason. The division is trash.
You say You
Well,
say was?
is trash
Oh,
is.
okay. I
You know, we
thought
got
something
trash game
changed.
tonight. Trash game tonight. Bucks and and the Aints tonight. You know, I mean, this division is trash. It is what it is. If we were in another division at this point in time right now, we literally be having a conversation about, okay, where's the draft pick? But because this division is so trash, we've still been in the conversations of, you know, you keep hearing all this math, and you know, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but you know, every day I hear the pundits and the local radio person that's on, well, you know, mathematically, we still have the 50-30% 5-way, 4-way tie to be the division. and so, and it's a topic of discussion, but I think personally as a fan, and that's why I wanted to get you guys the playoff. Let's not talk about the playoff. It's done. It is done. Some way, some form, some Merry Christmas wish we do make it to the playoffs. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you right now, if we do somehow mathematically make it to the playoffs, the first round, whoever comes in here is going to put foot to butt, and we are done. So I'm going to just let y'all know that now. So as far as I'm concerned, as far as Leo G is concerned, the playoffs is a conversation that we don't need to even talk about, man. Because like I said, if we do somehow make it because the Bucks wet the bed or whatever the case may be, man, we're not going anywhere with that. So let's just end it. So I think we're all in agreement. We can end that conversation now. The next topic is it now time? Since we know now, I think we're all in agreement. We're all in agreement that the playoffs, whether or not mathematically we get in or not, we know we're not moving anywhere, you know, with a playoff appearance if we get there. Arthur Smith had told us the person that gave us the best chance to be successful and to make it to the playoffs is Marcus Mariota, right? We saw what he did yesterday. We saw how he went to bed, like you said, Derek, as you would like to say, went to bed. We know where we are now. We are that team we thought we were. We overachieved. The best word I could say, Banks, is we overachieved, right? We overachieved. We got to these 5 wins. We all said at the beginning of the season, well, Derico and I both said that we should be able to win 6 wins. I think the bar that we set was 5. We're at 5 games right now with 4 games left. I think we will still get over that 5-game bar. But right now, and I'm going to bring it over to you, Banks, Mariota, Ridder. I know this has been a conversation, if you don't live here in Atlanta, that has been talked about on Sports Talk Radio for the last several weeks. Is it now time to see what we have in Desmond Ridder? Is it now time to see this?
It's been time, Leo. I've been screaming for Ridder. Remember what week it was? I mean, no. I appreciate what he did. Came in from Las Vegas Raiders or whoever they are. Quarterback, and he came and got another lease on life, if you will. Only because our Deshaun Watson dreams didn't come through. So he was only here as a emergency plan, if you will. That part. So he came in, did what he could only do, and we found out what he was after the 4th week, and people still want the right. He gave us the best chance to win, which is because the best chance of winning was our run game, not him, because the only thing he was doing was handing it off. Yes, it's time for Ridder. Even if he does suck, I mean, how would we know? How do we of doing? I got a theory, guy. Want to hear this? I know folks at home don't want to hear this. In a world, head coach feels that if Ridder comes in, work of giving us a chance to win, it bad for benching Ridder this long. Hear me out. Everyone keeps saying, well, he's in practice. He must see him. He must not be doing that well. Well, factual. How do we know that? How do we really know that? If he's that bad, worse than Mariota, it was a bad draft pick. I'm sorry. I don't know anybody the way that Mariota's playing 10 weeks if a quarterback is still playing like that, I belong in the NFL. I'm sorry. You got numbers that you're coming out of games with only 110 passes or 80 yards passing going into the fourth quarter. That's not what NFL quarterback's supposed to do. I mean, I gave him a pass because he didn't been in the league for so long and he didn't play as a starter. All of a sudden, we're giving him trying to make an excuse. Keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And I'm
okay.
He can't do any worse than Mariota.
So listen. You hit everything. You hit everything, Banks. Yes, our Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. The Deshaun Watson sweepstakes was not won. So we had to find something and scramble to find something. And Mariota was the best available. And he has been serviceable. And I use that term lightly, serviceable. We needed a veteran, serviceable quarterback. We knew Matt Ryan was gone. We brought him in. He was familiar with Arthur Smith. And I agree with you, Banks, that the experiment is now over. I think it's now time to see what you have out of the guy that we drafted. I think it's now time to bring Ridder in. And just to say a little bit, Banks, here, man, there is a risk with rookie quarterbacks, right? There is a risk with bringing guys in. I mean, there's a learning curve from coming to college to the NFL. But let's give Ridder some credit, man. Coming from Cincinnati in a winning program under Fickle up there, man, he did very, very well. So I'm with you, Banks. Let's see what we got now. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of on the train with, okay, hey, Mariota is doing okay. He's being, because like you said, Banks, he has been consistent with handing the ball off and dinking and dunking us to where we are now. But I think at this point, where we are in the season and where we are as far as moving forward, we need to start looking at the future because, like I said, even if we do make the playoffs, there's not a very long run in that. Derek O, I'm going to let you kind of expand on that and where you feel like we are with playing Mariota or Ridder before we move on with the show.
I said this probably a couple of shows ago. If our record wasn't 3-1 or 2-2 during that stretch between Carolina, the Bears, the Washington football team, I can't call them that other name, and the Steelers, because of their records, it was time. I mean, that was just it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I will want to expound to the people that Banks didn't want to talk to. I'm talking to the people from 2 years ago that said we didn't need to draft a quarterback. We wouldn't be having this issue, we wouldn't be having this conversation if we had drafted a quarterback then. So most of the people that's probably complaining about the quarterback now probably didn't want us to draft a quarterback 2 years ago. I mean, the problem would have been solved. You'd have had that quarterback sitting on the bench for a year under Matt Ryan. Marcus Mariota would have been a thought in nobody's mind. Deshaun Watson would have been a thought in nobody's mind. And also, people stop saying Lamar Jackson's coming here. He's not. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
So look, man.
Am I done? Only got 10 seconds. But go ahead.
Well, you got.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I give you another 15. I give you another 15. We got to move on. You done? Okay, you done. Ladies and gentlemen, Derrico is done on that, man. So I think it's like I said, man, we'll see how we come. Got a bye week coming up here, fellas. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens after the bye week for what it's worth. And, it's all political talk, I guess, from coaches at this point when they talk about things and how they're going to look at stuff and we'll evaluate this and we'll evaluate that. I think the consensus was that Arthur Smith said that they were going to reevaluate everything coming after the bye week and moving into the next game. I think the next game is us playing New Orleans on December the 18th. So we'll see where we are. I think a lot of people felt that Arthur Smith now feels that, hey, we need to move forward. But, hey, we will see what happens next week and who's going to be our starting quarterback. But, guys, yes, I feel exactly like you all do. It's time to move forward. Derrico, unfortunately, none of us had a crystal ball 2 years ago. So, things have changed. We have to, if you
said a crystal ball.
If you had a crystal ball,
we knew we needed a quarterback.
Okay.
So it ain't about a crystal ball. It's about draft picks again. your favorite player, and I'm being facetious, Banks, the unicorn, ain't did nothing on our offensive line or our defensive line or at the quarterback position. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about decisions. We continue to make the wrong decisions high in the draft because we want shiny pieces and ornaments that ain't going to do jack for the football team in key positions. We've been bitching about defensive line or pass rusher. We can't buy one because we don't draft one. I think we got shell shock after we drafted 44. You know what I'm saying? That's, again, ain't talking about, we're talking about drafting. We're not talking about going in free agency. Michael Parsons was there. You know, we going back.
I agree, man.
But I'm just saying. So that's all I'm saying. So don't take it for granted that people don't want to hear the same old ish about this football team making these decisions. I mean, we knew what it was, but yet here we are. Again.
Our draft record, especially with the fan base, you know what I'm saying, has not been very, very good. You know what I'm saying? And let's say it for what it's worth, and I'm gonna move forward with this. This is year number 2 under Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith. So there was a lot to clean up. I think we're all under agreement that the last regime left us in such bad shape that we're now able to move forward and try to clean this up. Okay, fellas. So we said it. This we shouldn't have gotten. I'm going to be the first person to say I always want to see this team be successful, and I've attached my emotions to a team that I shouldn't have because I want to see them win every time they go out there on the field. But logically, I knew that this team didn't have a lot of talent, and I shouldn't have expected a lot. And yes, they overachieved the first part of the season. I will admit that. And I want to see them, do as well as they can these last several games moving forward. I hope to see them win. Let me tell you something. Both of you all, I want to say this much. I want to see us win the remainder of these games. If we lose, we lose. Logically, it's not in our favor to win, but I always want to see this team win as a fan and as the host of this podcast and as a fan of Atlanta sports. Let's be real. I want to see these teams win. I'm not stupid. I'm not crazy. I know that we're not the best team in the league, but as a fan, I want to see these guys win. We'll see where this season ends up. We'll see how this plays out, and we'll discuss it as we need to moving forward on a game-to-game basis. Right now, mathematically still in. Right now, mathematically can still win the division. So we'll see how this all plays out. But make no mistake about this, man. Leo G wants to see this team win these last games. All right. I don't want to see this team lose. I mean, you guys can feel the way that you want to feel, but I always want to see this team win. All right.
Who said we want to see the team lose? You having that on like who said that? Did you hear somebody say that?
No, you all didn't say that. I just want to make it clear. I want to make it clear that I want to see this team win, because I'm a fan. I don't want to see. So for the record, before we move on to the next topic, as a fan of any team, I don't want to see them lose at all. Okay? I don't like losing. Whether I'm playing tiddlywinks or whatever, I like to win. So the notion of a team losing for whatever reason that you want them to lose, if you call yourself a fan, whether it be tanking because I want to see us get a high draft pick, whatever the case may be, that's on you. But Leo G is telling you that I want to see my team win every time they lace them up, whether it's the Hawks, Falcons, Braves, or UGA. If you got some other petty ass reason that you don't want to see the team win, that's on you. But Leo G want to see our team win every time they go out there on the field. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna move on with the show.
You did say it's gonna be a therapy session.
Hey, like I said, I want to see the team win regardless. That's no caveat to it. I want to see the teams win. Period, man. And then after they pull like this here, when the season is over, whatever the record is, wherever we draft, then we move forward and we talk about that later. But I want to see when we come off the bye, you damn right I want to see us win down there in the swamp. Okay? You damn right I want to see us beat Tom Brady for for to put the first L because he undefeated against us. I want to see us win. All right. Period.
Okay. Soapbox now. When we don't win, this is why
it ain't Banks. It's okay. Yeah, we can talk about us not winning, but what I'm saying is, from Leo G's perspective, is make it known I want to see this team win. Okay, that's all I want to just come out and say. Hey, when we lose, yeah, you're right, Banks. I give you that. We talk about the L's, but I just want everybody to know that I want to see this team win. I don't want to see this team. I don't go sit in Mercedes-Benz to watch them lose. I don't sit up here to see where we are on the draft board and where we are. We the number 4 pick. No. I want to see wins, man. That for real. So I will step off my soapbox because we got to move forward in the show because we got 2 more topics to get to. So listen, fellas, let's get to a topic that we can all kind of feel good about here, man. Let's wash out that whole Falcons conversation and let's move forward. College football playoffs. This past weekend, we had all the conference title games. Starting on this past Friday night, where we saw USC take on Utah for the WAC. Is it WAC or PAC? Which one is it, Derek? Is it WAC or PAC?
WAC.
Is it WAC? It's WAC 12. All right. All right. So we saw Utah take on USC in the WAC 12 championship. We also saw all the major FBS conferences have their conference title games as well. So listen, we do know this moving forward as we try to, get through the rest of this show. Georgia, number 1, college football playoffs, undefeated. Michigan, TCU, Michigan also, by the way, I should add undefeated. TCU, they did lose their Big 12 conference game to Kansas State, but they did make the college football playoffs as the number 3 rated team. And also we have coming in at number 4, the Ohio State University. Top 4 teams will be playing for the college football playoffs.
They just Ohio State right now.
Okay. Well, they
thank you. Because after that Michigan game, that D went out the goddamn state.
Okay. Okay. Banks, I'm gonna swing it over to you here. I know a lot of people are arguing right now, and a lot of people are mad and pissed. And they in their own feelings because they fans of whoever they fans of. I don't want to get too far off into talking about that, but the question is, did the committee get it right? Yes or no? Banks, I'm coming to you first.
Yes. 100 yeses. They got it right. And the team that you don't want to mention, let me go ahead and say something about them. And I'm not going to say their team either. You not in.
Derek Cole, I'm going to bring it over to you here, man. College football playoffs. Did the committee get it right?
They got it right. Well, can I put this point in there about the human element in this thing?
Go ahead.
Like, I don't like the human element because you didn't want to put that team that was number 5 ahead of the team that just lost on Saturday because they didn't want that rematch so early. So I hate the human element in it. Yeah, they could have slid that team up there because the other team lost because they're not a power conference. You know what I'm saying? They could have. That's why I'm so glad. That's why I'm so glad that in 2 years we're gonna have a playoff where it's gonna be decided on the field and not by a group of guys and women in a conference room thinking that this is the best matchup. And for them teams for them teams that think we scared of that team, Georgia is the best team in college football.
We'll talk about. We'll get into it here in just a minute. We're about to get into that. Hold on, Banks. Hold on, Banks. I will give me a second. I'm gonna lead us up into this, man. Banks? Let me get to it. Let me get to it, man. I know you ready to get into it, man, real quick. So listen, yes, Derek Cole, you were absolutely right. So if you didn't know, yes, in a couple of years, we will go to a 12-team playoff system, and that will give us an opportunity to actually see where we are and where we stand as far as bringing all of the competitive teams under a field that we can actually get a better look at who can get to the college, who can win the college championship, I should say, the national championship. With 4 teams, a lot of people are arguing about who should be where and where should be who. Me personally, let me get to say, I think that the committee got it right, fellas. Let me give my opinion. I do feel like the committee got it right. Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State. I do feel like they got it in the right order because if you listen to the committee, they had so many stipulations. So TCU did make their conference game. They lost, but took 1 L. So let's put them in there. Let's give them their due. So let's put them in there at number 3. Michigan took care of business against Purdue. Georgia obviously hung a 50 burger on LSU. Shout out to them. And we'll talk about that here in just a minute. And I think Ohio State was probably the best team that didn't play in their conference title game to actually get a chance to play. So I do commend, I commend the committee for getting it right. Okay, so we got the matchups here on that we want to see here. Georgia against Ohio State. They'll play in the Chick-fil-A Bowl. Jericho, Michigan, TCU. Where are they playing? In what game for that? Do you know?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know if it's the Fiesta Bowl. It's Fiesta Bowl.
It's the Fiesta Bowl.
PlayStation Fiesta Bowl out of Arizona. So you got Michigan, TCU in the
yeah, that's right, because they playing the national championship in
LA, SoFi, what they call it. So you got Georgia, Ohio State here in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl as to get. So we all agree. Did
y'all get an email from the Falcons about getting Peach Bowl tickets this year?
I didn't think so. Well, we'll talk about that off air. So here we go. So like I said, we pressed on time. There's a couple other topics I want to get to really quickly. So take a drink, do whatever you want to do with that, because I did say really quickly. So listen, Banks, I'm kicking it over to you. Let's talk about matchups really quick, and we'll come back to this as we do another show here leading up into these bowl games in a month or so, because we got about a month or so before we actually see these bowl games here. Georgia versus Ohio State, I think, is the most intriguing matchup. We talk about living here in this city. We talk about the transplants. So if you didn't know, there are a lot of Ohio State alumni and a lot of Ohio State fans here. A lot of people that care about Little 10 football, and a lot of people that have talked about wanting to see this matchup for a long time. Banks, I'm going to give it to you first. I want you to tell me how you feel about this matchup and how it's going to shape up and shape out with Georgia versus Ohio State.
It's a matchup, like you said, everyone's anticipating. Supposedly the staple of Big Ten. Little
10 football.
Okay, well, we'll just say that for right now. But Ohio State has been the face of that conference, and I think a lot of people think that since Georgia has never faced them, that they got something new to show them. I'm here for it, guys. I think this is an epic matchup coming up. This game is played in Atlanta, Georgia, and although it doesn't matter, I think a neutral field is a neutral field. This is something that I think Georgia fans wanted. I think we wanted to see how we match up against all those powerhouse schools, your Alabamas, your Clemsons, your Notre Dames, your Michigans of the now Ohio State, and I think this will complete it if my memory serves me correctly. I think the committee got it right. I mean, I want to backtrack just a tiny bit, just for 1 second, when you said that about the team that didn't make it. It's just simple to me. 2 losses versus 1 loss.
No. I didn't say nothing about that team. I didn't say nothing. I'm going to clarify. I didn't say nothing about that team. I was talking about the other team.
Okay. Well,
just clarify. Yeah.
Well, let me say, I'm talking about that team. So that team has 2 losses, and I feel that anybody that feel entitled that they have to be there because on GP because of their pedigree or their name or whoever plays on their team, whoever coaches their team, it's when the shoe is on the other foot. And this is where I've been saying for the past 10, 12 years, when Georgia was on that side, when we was trying to get in, when we were trying to convince everybody that we were trying.
There was no sympathy. There was no sympathy.
There was no sympathy. When we lost, we were done. So I don't want to hear it. When we're now the top dog and everybody's looking up at us, everybody wants to say, well, why they can't get it? Why they can't? Because you lost. You have 2 losses. 1 loss. They get in before you. Plain and simple.
All right.
Dry with us, cut it dry for them. So I sympathy, like Leo said. Going forward, let the games roll. Ohio State versus Georgia. Let's go.
Absolutely. I agree. Like I said, for a long time, the G has been disrespected. Banks, I couldn't agree with you more. The G has been disrespected. Well, we've had great teams. You can go all the way back into the early 2000s when Mark Richt was here. We were trying to get the opportunity to go and play for a national title. I want to say, I can't remember exactly when, but, we've petitioned ourselves to play for national titles, and nobody has respected the G. As for the other team, I will not mention. It's funny how, the narrative, they make the narrative fit the way they want it to fit. Obviously, last year they were able to get a chance to play for the national title after they played in the SEC championship. But the team that I will not talk about, and that coach, he politics and he petitions for his team because he feels as though that brand deserves, for some reason, because it's that brand, to be there every year. Derek, to your point, I'm glad that we're actually going to a 12-game system to say, hey, well, maybe, okay, so if you deserve to be there, let's make you run through the gauntlet. Let's put you at the back of the train and make you work your way all the way up to the top. Okay, so we will see that here in a couple of years, and we will see if you built to do it that way. I think it's a crock of crap, to your point, Banks, that someone would even fix their mouth to say they feel like they deserve to be there after losing 2 games. That is absolute. To me, that was absolutely just you crying and begging at that point. Crying and begging is what I call it. That team and that coach cried and begged to make a point, obviously, to say why they deserve to be there, because they are this brand, so they should be there. And I will say this much. I don't have a lot of respect for Big 12 football, but TCU deserves to be there. I don't have a lot of respect for Big 10 football, but Ohio State deserves to be there. Derek, I'm going to give it up to you. How do you feel about this matchup, Georgia and Ohio State?
I'm looking forward to it, actually. You know what I'm saying? Because that team right there has the most obnoxious fan base probably in college football, and they need to be humbled. They need to be humbled. And I think when they come down here, they're going to understand that this is big boy football. And I absolutely want Georgia to put hands on that football team like they did LSU and the Benz. I'm talking about a 50 burger. I want them to leave here understanding that this ain't, like you said, Little 10 football. This is big boy football.
And for that much, Derek, put hands on their Big 10 counterpart like they did last year.
I'm just saying.
Like they did last year.
Hey, that's all I'm saying. I mean, just be careful what you ask for. I mean,
exactly.
when people used to ask for that other team, they got that whoop stick. So now they want to change it to Georgia. We want Georgia. You know you don't. Go ask Oregon. No, you don't. You don't want this. Ask LSU. You don't want this.
I am fully ready. Bank, hold on one second, Banks, and I'm gonna get to you here, man, because we pressing up against time, and I want to say this much. I want to say this. I want to commend Kirby Smart, and I want to commend the Georgia football team this year. And I say that because this was not easy for them young men this year. We talked about this in other podcasts. You coming off the heels of a national championship. You losing players. You lost. We heard all year we lost 15 players to the draft. This was going to be very, very hard for them to do. And what did they come out and do? They came out and went undefeated in the SEC and won the SEC championship, and they're number one after they were disrespected initially at the beginning of the season, and they weren't even ranked number one after winning the national title. They were ranked number 3. So before we move forward, they were ranked number 3, right? Banks?
No, I was saying they were disrespected 3 times.
They were disrespected 3 times. So they were disrespected 3 times. So they wasn't even, like I said, they wasn't even ranked number 1 going into the season after winning the national title. So I want to commend, because this is something that needs to be commended, starting with Kirby Smart and starting all the way down with the rest of the Georgia team and the staff, that these guys steered the course, and right now they're still on track to do what they are trying to do and accomplish, is win another national title. They muffled everything on the outside. They went through adversity this year. You know, they played a couple of games that, you know, were tripped up. Banks and Derrick, we all know every week it was, oh, they got to play Tennessee, or they got to play them, or they got to play that, or they almost lost to Missouri. But here we are now, the number one team in the CFB, and they are going to play Ohio State in the Chick-fil-A playoff and the Chick-fil-A Bowl to play for another national title. So I don't want to finish this podcast before I give everything to UGA for steering the course and being able to get back to where they wanted to be this year. So, like I said, we kind of pressed for time here. I'm going to come to you, Banks, here. So now I want to discuss the TCU-Michigan matchup before we move on to another hot take and move on to the next topic. Michigan, TCU. I don't know how much you watch Michigan. I know I did watch the Michigan-Ohio State game, and I saw Michigan take Ohio State to the woodshed the second half of that game. We play a TCU game. So I will say this much, man. I don't want to take anything away from TSU. I think they have a tough squad. I like their quarterback. How do you feel about the Michigan TCU matchup?
Before I go there, Derrick Cole, you said the most obnoxious fan base. I think that's be Tennessee, sir. Yes, the Michigan TCU matchup have a lot of heart. Watching that TCU K-State game, I watched it from the beginning to end for the playoff implications of it. TCU has a kind of like a never die kind of spirit, and that's kind of dangerous going into these playoffs. Going against a Michigan team who they always call Georgia, which I think for Georgia's perspective is an insult. But yeah, if you want to call us that, I mean, we'll just say Georgia Light. How about that? Georgia Light. Michigan should be favored against TCU. I'm not going to give them no blowout. Michigan. Yes. I'm not confident to say they'll beat Michigan, but I will say that it will be a game. It should be a good matchup.
Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Derrick Cole, your thoughts on TCU and Michigan before we move on?
Short and sweet. I'm just an underdog type of guy in these situations. So I'm pulling for TSU. Because I don't want to see. TCU. I think you had said TSU. That's where I got it from. You had said it earlier.
When did Tennessee State get in?
That's what. Hey, go back and watch the tape.
Rewind the tape.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pull out my penalty red flag on it too. So yeah, I think I'm going for the underdog because I really don't want to see a Michigan Georgia repeat this early.
I agree with you, man. I'm gonna go with you, man. I'm gonna roll with you, Derrick. Man, I want to see TCU do this, man. I mean, we've had, Cincinnati last year was that dark horse. They ran up against Alabama, obviously, and I said I wasn't gonna say that name, but damn it, it slipped. So TCU is not that team from the outside looking in, man. I hope TCU gives Michigan everything they got and then some. But it's gonna be interesting to see. I think the consensus amongst all of us is the committee got it right, and we should be in for some great bowl games, man. I'm glad to see that team over there playing the Cheez-It Bowl or whatever bowl they decide they're gonna play in on New Year's Day or whenever. And like I said, we're gonna see Georgia, and hopefully, knock on wood, do this damn thing again. So listen, guys, really quickly, a hot take before we get into one other topic and we close this thing out. And I think I'm gonna devote a whole show here, maybe in the upcoming weeks, to talk about this subject here because this has been something that I thought was not gonna get a lot of convo, but it really actually has. And I want to get a quick hot take from both of you all about what just happened over this past weekend. So of course we know Deion Sanders, primetime, whoever you want to call him, has been the coach at Jackson State for the last couple of years. They just won a shout out to Jackson State for winning the SWAC title against Southern here this past weekend. But if you didn't know, if you were living up under a rock, or if you just didn't turn on your TV, Deion Sanders is not going up to Boulder, Colorado to be the coach of the University of Colorado Buffaloes. He is not a head coach of the University of Colorado Buffaloes. Somewhere in the upward of, I want to say $29 million, about 5 years, $5 million per year. AD said they still don't know where they're getting the money from, but that's like what a price tag is for him to go up there to Colorado. I just want to get a hot take quickly from you all. And like I said, I think if you all want to do this, I think I want to devote a whole podcast to talk about Deion, the culture of him coaching at Jackson State, and where we are moving forward with him in the Colorado. But I just want to get a hot take from both of y'all and how you feel about this. Banks, I'm gonna come over to you first. Deion now leaving Jackson State, going to Colorado. How do you feel about this? Your hot take on it?
Go get your money. He did what he did at Jackson State for 3 years. Go ahead and do what you got to do, sir. I don't understand why the uproar about. He's going to Colorado and continue his coaching career.
All right, Derrico, man, get your hot take, man, on Deion as he moves up to Colorado.
Hey, I'm riding with Banks, man. Hey, we already knew this was going to happen, so I'm not sure why folks are shocked. I mean, what y'all should be paying attention to is what he did and how you can replicate it at not only Jackson State but other HBCUs. Be happy. Y'all bitch about not enough black head coaches in NCAA football. You got another one. You can't bitch about one thing and then turn around and scratch it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're in your feelings. Do better.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I put like this. Congratulations to Coach Prime for being, as he said, elevated. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, like he said, you know, our coaches, you get demoted or you get elevated. In this case, he was elevated to another team. It's going to be a challenge, man, because we all know that the Buffaloes, man, they have not. And let's be real, Colorado was at one point in time a big. They were something. You know what I'm saying? We go back to remember watching them in the 90s. I think they won a national championship when Slash was there with Cordell Stewart. I think they shared one with Georgia Tech, if I'm not mistaken. But they have not been a good franchise. They have not been a good football team at all in the last several years. And so shout out to him. I'm happy to see him take this on, and I'm interested to see how this is going to work because we saw what he did at Jackson State. But, you know, there are a lot of mixed feelings about this, and I think that we need to maybe devote, if not a whole podcast, maybe about a 30-minute segment to just how both sides of this are feeling. Like you said, Derrico, you got a lot of people that feel like he sold a dream to HBCUs, and now he's leaving what he started. Banks, you got a lot of people that feel like, you know, just a lot of mixed feelings about it. So I think we'll come back and we'll talk about this and how everybody's feeling moving forward in another podcast, because I didn't really do a lot of research on it, but I definitely want to come back to this and revisit this, man. But I'm happy, and I think the consensus between all of us are that, you know, Deion is being elevated. He's going to get that bag, as the young people will say, up in Colorado. So it's going to be interesting to see. Final thoughts before we close this podcast out, guys. I wanted you guys to be strong. Derrico, what you got?
I just want to give y'all this tip because, you know, we're talking about Georgia. The legend that is known as Stetson Bennett has been invited to the Heisman Trophy ceremony in New York.
Hey, man, shout out Stetson Bennett the fourth, man, for being invited up to New York, man, for the Heisman thing, man.
That's not his name. His name is DeQuavius.
It's not Stetson Bennett the fourth. It's
DeQuavius.
DeQuavius Bennett.
DeQuavius Bennett.
Shout out Quay. Shout out my man Quay, man. That's what's up, man. DeQuavius Bennett, man, being invited up to New York, man, as a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. Derrico, you and I have had some off the air conversations about that. Maybe we'll bring that back after it's all said and done and talk about DeQuavius Banks, DeQuavius Bennett. We'll talk about that, man. So, man, big up to him. And that's big. That's big, man. Hey, so look, man, we're going to close this thing out, guys, man. We're at the mark here, man. We've done a good job of kind of keeping our time today. Listen, final thoughts, man. So first and foremost, man, I want to commend you guys because we've been talking off air about the World Cup. Okay, but the last podcast we had, we talked about the World Cup. We talked about how this was going to play out in Qatar. I challenge you guys to to take on some teams to watch. And to my surprise, and I say to my surprise, but you all actually follow very, very well. And I will commend you guys because you've been keeping up with it. Banks, I know it's been hard with your schedule, but I was talking to you. You were able to catch some games, and I'm happy about that. Derek Cole, man, listen, Banks, let me tell you something, man. Derek, I was waking up to Derek Cole sending me texts about the games. So, dude, I just want to say, man, you know what I'm saying? Derek Cole, man, I got to give him props, man. I'm waking up, I'm looking at my phone. Derek Cole was like, hey, man, dude, look at Ghana, look at this, look at that. I'm like, damn, my man Derek Cole been on it, man. So, and I'm not taking anything away from you, Banks, because you were paying attention and you were watching a couple of games as well. But I will say, man, I am surprised, and I want to commend you fellas for actually getting into this World Cup, man. Before we close this out, we'll talk about it a little bit. Banks, World Cup, man. How intriguing was this to you, man? I know you watched World Cups in the past, man, but I challenge you to follow it, man. The pageantry of it. I know we talk about NFL football and college football and other sports, but this is the Super Bowl, the biggest stage of them all when it comes to soccer. I mean, how have you been feeling about watching these games over in Qatar?
Well, broken. I'm a little bit more of a homer with the country of USA. See you in 4 years. USA is gonna be on the prowl. So, for the most part, though, it has been enjoyable, especially in the groups round and everything, and got to see Netherlands and rip my heart out of my chest. So I kind of got bum hugged and didn't want to watch no more. So I just it's like, you know what, the hell with it. I'm done. See. But for the most part, it was very enjoyable.
Absolutely, man. I've had fun getting up in the morning watching these guys. I didn't get up at 5 o'clock to watch these games. I think Derek got up a couple of times at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch these games. He's shaking his head, but he did get up, watch a couple of games at 9 and 11. And he was watching some of the group stages because, like I said, I think we watched some Senegal games, Ghana, Japan. Because there's been some shocking, some big top tier teams didn't make it to the knockout round. Right. Man. You got Germany that didn't make it, Mexico. They didn't make it, man. So it's been very, very intriguing watching this World Cup as it's unfold. It's been a little odd because we haven't watched the World Cup played during this time of the season. Obviously, you couldn't play the World Cup in Qatar during the summer because the players would have burnt up and disintegrated. But hey, nonetheless, we got soccer during the holiday seasons. Like you said, Banks, unfortunately, the United States did not advance, lost to a Netherlands team, but hey, young team, we will see them in 4 years as North America hosts the World Cup in 4 years here. Atlanta being one of the host cities for group and semifinal play. We're very, very excited about that. We will be very, very old men. Derek will be very, very old. I pass it over to you, Derek. How fun has it been watching the World Cup games in Qatar?
Hey, it's been good to me because just a point now. The World Cup, I just didn't follow soccer like leading up to the World Cup, but I'm just a big soccer, like I say a big sports guy when it comes to big events. So I always watch the World Cup, but now I can watch it in a different lens because I've started actually enjoying the beautiful game, as they say, and it's been good. Definitely like the upsets, especially teams like Mexico. Yeah, glad y'all gone. Yeah, and I like watching our African nation teams. It's just fun watching the different cultures, man, how they celebrate their teams. And I think I had talked to you about this, Leo. It's like a different vibe. You know what I'm saying? I say we soccer fanatics maybe, but I don't think we really soccer fanatics like other countries. And then you can just see the difference in how they respond to their teams.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to all of our African nations that made it, man. Of course, I'm always gonna support the diaspora over there, man. Hey, for real, one love. Cameroon, Ghana, Senegal. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all of those guys over there. And of course, shout out to the United States men's team. Like you said, Banks, we were all kind of heartbroken Saturday morning getting up and watching them lose to a Netherlands team that is actually pretty good. If you don't know about international soccer, the Netherlands are a very, very good team. So make no mistake about
Bruh.
it, people.
They put on a.
A
I'm not a
clinic.
technical guy, but they put on a technical clinic on how dome.
Man, listen, Louis Van Gaal, who I'm very familiar with, who used to be the manager of Manchester United, who is the national manager of the Netherlands. I know somebody probably gonna eat me up about butchering his name, but I don't care. But I'm very familiar with Louis Van Gaal. He's with Manchester United for a while. The Netherlands are a good team, people. You know, a lot of folk, if you just tuned in and you the Netherlands, we lost to the Netherlands. No, they are a great team, man. Memphis Depay. Hey, look, hey, that dude, go YouTube him, go Google him, man. He is a phenomenal player. And they were very, like we discussed, Derek, very surgical, very tactical, played a sound game against the United States. And for what it's worth, Banks, man, like you just said, the United States will be back. One of the youngest teams over in Qatar. Okay. I want to say the average age is about 22 years of age. These kids, and I say kids because they're kids. Look at these guys, man. They're playing over in Europe. They're doing well. Mo Adams, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic. I mean, we're going to be back when we're on North American soil, and we should be a force to be reckoned with. So I'm proud of the United States on what they did. They got out of pool play, which is not something to sneeze at, man. Listen, in a world competition against nations that play this game and take it very, very serious, you know, with England, Wales, and Iran, I mean, as a tough group, we came out and were able to get to the knockout round. So I'm looking forward to, you know, us in another 4 years being here and seeing what the United States can do, man. So, I mean, I'm still got to move forward. Still got a couple of games to go before we get to the final. I don't know, you guys still got any favorites or dark horses that you guys are rooting for going into the rest of it? I'm rocking with that boy. Hey, so Derek, real quick before we go,
my team's still playing.
Yeah, France is still in there, man. That left foot, but look, that left-footed assassin with Argentina, man. My God, dude. Messi, man. You text me and was like, how did he do that? And I'm like, because his name is Messi.
Yeah.
That man is short of amazing. If you watch soccer, man, and watch what he does, man, that stuff is amazing. Banks,
Yeah.
you got anybody dark horse that you feel like you still want to watch or still paying attention to?
No, I can't say I am, Leo. I haven't. When I say I haven't really want to tune back in, but I really don't have one.
I understand. No worries. I will off air. We'll talk about a couple of things, man. We'll get you back into it, man, so you can see, you know, leading up into the finale how this all pans out, man. But another great show, guys, man. I will say that much, man. We had fun, and I think that we'll break this down moving forward. A couple of topics I think we want to touch on, man, and maybe, you know, go forward, especially talking about Dion and how he moves on with Colorado. And I think we'll come back and maybe do a whole nother spread and look at some of the bowl lineups here before we move into the new year, man. So, Banks, before we close this out, man, go ahead and let the people know where they can hit you up at.
At Antoine Jarrell Banks on Facebook or Baby Banks 80 on Twitter or Instagram. Leave me a message and let me know where you saw me at the Leo G show. Y'all laughing, y'all ha 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 ha.
What, man?
That's
Come
how
on,
y'all
dog.
find me.
Man, it's all love, Banks, man. Come on, dog. You know we love you, man. Derek, welcome.
Hey, Leo, he said it like Barry White. Y'all leave me a message.
Y'all leave me
slide
a
in them
message.
DMs.
Y'all leave me a message.
Yeah, y'all can catch me on Facebook at Stacey D. Derrico. You can catch me on the Twitter at Derrico_Virgo. You can catch me on. No, hold on. I said Twitter. Yeah, Twitter. You can catch me at Twitter at VSU96SDD. You got me mind messed up, Banks. And you can catch me on IG at Derrico_Virgo. And I'm on Snapchat. I just don't forget. I don't know what my handle is. I think it's DJ Cairo. It might be DJ Cairo.
DJ K-Roll.
And if y'all feel like traveling, y'all can catch me in that stanky city in New Orleans the second weekend. Was that the second or third weekend? Third weekend. That's like the 18th, whatever. The 16th, 17th, 18th. Holla at your boy.
Your boy might pop up down there. I don't know. We'll see, man. That's a lot to commit to, man. Right here before the holidays, man. I done busted the piggy bank, broke the piggy bank, but we'll see what's up, man. But yeah,
dig a little deep.
I try, man. You want to donate? I'm gonna put a GoFundMe up, man. Send your boy down to New Orleans for the game.
Hey, put your cash app out there.
Cash app. I put my cash app out there. Now I ain't afraid of it, man. Y'all want to donate? Every penny helps. But listen, man, y'all can catch me. Y'all already know, man. Catch me Southern Set with 2 T's at Southern Set with 2 T's on Twitter before Elon Musk get a hold of this thing, and I'm gonna have to just completely bounce on up out of here. But yeah, you can catch me over there on Twitter. You can catch us the Leo G Show at #1, the Leo G Show, the #1 on Twitter as well. Fellas, we gotta discuss you guys doing some interaction with the show Twitter handle. Also, you can catch us on Facebook, man, and you can catch us out here in these streets. For real, because that's where we be at. Corner of Northside Drive and Nelson. Catch DJ K-Roll at the next tailgate, man, as we take on the Arizona Cardinals for the next home game. And Banks, we want to talk to you, man, because you ain't been the one yet.
Whoa. Before we get out of here, shout out to Jalen Carter for the mad disrespect of picking up my man Daniels for the LSU quarterback like a little boy. One sign like he was a proud father. I think it was the most iconic I ever seen. Hats out to you, sir, and no one in LSU land is. I'm here for it, and everyone around the nation is here for it. Good,
everybody,
good job, sir. Good job.
Absolutely, man. Jalen Carter is a grown man. And before we close out, man, on a serious tip, man, if you live in the state of Georgia and you watching or listening to this show right now, okay, we got a very, very important runoff on tomorrow as I speak, as I talk this live tomorrow, December the 6th. Go vote. For real. I've already done it. I don't know if you guys have, but I've already voted, man. Go out there and vote. For real. Real talk, man. If I could put anything out there serious, man, go out there and vote. Do that. Get it done.
Your voice
it does matter. And listen, there have been some long lines. There have been a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, I already knocked it out and got it done, man. But please, people, go out and vote. Go out and vote. All right, this has been another edition of the Leo G Show, man. I'm about to crank up my theme music. I hope it comes up. In the words of Deion Sanders, y'all give me my theme music.